Big win in the NCAA.
Oh, Florida State in transition. That's usually Charlie Ward. Today it's Cassell. Beautiful finish. Excellent lob pass. High enough for the man to extend and get it.
Fashioned.
Point guard the last 2 years at San Jacinto Junior College. He did it all from the point guard spot. It's also San Jacinto's leading scorer. 5-2 Florida State. For those of you just joining us, Florida State leads 5-2. The Hoyas scored first in this one. Florida State has run off 5 unanswered points. Georgetown 0 for its last 7 from the floor. Sean McDonough and Bill Walton, happy to have you with us here in Boise. That's a 3-point miss from Irvin Church, and that's 8 consecutive misses for the Hoyas.
Florida State's defense executing their game plan to perfection. Alonzo Mourning has not handled the ball in the offensive zone.
15:43 to play in the first half. 5-2 Seminoles.
This royal throne of kings, this happy breed of men, this earth of majesty, this little world.
The airline that's uniting the world. United brings you non-stop service from 6 U.S. cities to London's Heathrow and the land of poets.
This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England.
Come fly the friendly skies.
This is our vision of what a luxury sedan should be. Not because it offers rich leather and anti-lock brakes, but because it comes standard with an airbag on the driver's side and the passenger side as well, creating a luxury sedan where even peace of mind is shared. The new 929, the first luxury sedan from the new Mazda.
It just feels right. Customers demand high quality and low price. They don't want a trade-off. They want it all.
My grandfather had this philosophy. I have this philosophy. We give everybody the best quality they can have at the best possible price.
With ProWatch, you get the whole package. AT&T quality and a competitive price.
We have papaya from Hawaii. We have blood oranges from Italy. Clementines from Morocco. We have cheese from almost every country that has a cow.
With AT&T ProWatch, the more he calls, the higher the discount.
I've got enough headaches keeping my business going 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, and I can't be worried about my long-distance service.
AT&T.
5-2 Florida State. It will be Georgetown ball following the timeout. Robert Churchwell to Joey Brown. They did not front Mourning that time. He was able to catch it. Blocked by Doug Edwards. Edwards off to Sura. The acrobatic layup wouldn't fall.
Excellent patience and decision-making that time by Cassell. Edwards had the good opportunity. But the Florida State changing defenses are going to cause Georgetown a lot of problems today.
Cassell guarded tightly by Church. He shoots over Church. The tip by Reed for 2. Matt Kennedy said any offense that comes from Andre Reed today is a bonus. That's his first basket of the afternoon.
We will show you more action from this game coming up at halftime, but it's time now for UConn and Ohio State. Who will play North Carolina in the regionals? Let's go back to Vern Lundquist and Lynn Elmore.
Cincinnati, Ohio, Southeast Region's second round game. The 9th-seeded UConn Huskies against the top-seeded Ohio State Buckeyes in Game 2. Earlier, North Carolina used its outstanding changing defenses to outlast Alabama and advance to the round of 16. Ohio State and UConn both would like to join them there. Hello once again, everybody. Vern Lundquist along with Len Elmore. Ohio State, Lenny, is in as a #1 seed for the 2nd year in a row. They lost to St. John's in the regionals last last year, they do have something of a mission.
Well, they certainly do. They recognize that there's a responsibility in being the #1 seed. Randy Ayers wants his team to be refreshed, so he gave them less practice time. Also, the fact that, you know, this team knows they're playing a Big East team. They've got to make the mental adjustment and playing some physical basketball.
UConn comes in, if you can imagine, a 9th seed. That's because of problems at the end of the year. They manhandled Nebraska without Rod Sellers in the first-round game. Sellers, their center, sitting out an NCAA-enforced 1-game suspension. He is back. What does his presence mean to a team that seems to have reverted to early season form?
Well, I think the game in which they played against Nebraska, where Sellers sat out, they used it as a cause, and they got some of the guys coming off the bench to kind of step up their games to compensate for the loss of Sellers. Now that he's here, they're looking to play in a much more confident fashion. That's what they were lacking when they went into the tailspin near the latter part of the season.
We have two of the better players in the country on the floor today, Jim Jackson of Ohio State and Chris Smith of UConn.
Well, both of these guys are great scorers and great leaders on the floor. Jim Jackson and Chris Smith are the guys that both their teams look to down the stretch, and I think in a close game situation, they're probably going to have to take over this game.
Check the lineups now. First of all, on the left, Donyell Marshall for UConn, Torino Walker, Rod Sellers, Chris Smith, and Scott Burrell. And right now, let's go back to Jim Nance in New York.
Okay, we've had a switching error. We're going to have to send you back now to Boise for Georgetown and Florida State. We will have updates, of course, on Ohio State and UConn. 3 games, in fact, in this time slot right now. Florida State has the early edge. Here's Sean McDonough along with Bill Walton.
We played 7 minutes. Florida State has a 7-6 lead. A miss by Graham. Loose ball corralled by Dobart, and Andre Reed now has 4 points. Nice pass to Reed from Rodney Dobart.
Good strategy against a top big man like Mourning, as we'll see with O'Neal this afternoon. Take it at him. When the ball goes over on the missed rebound, your big guys on the weak side have the rebounding advantage.
Brown lost it out of bounds. David Dodge ruling it went out off Brown, and that's the 3rd turnover committed by Georgetown. And here's some full court pressure.
Georgetown, one of the greatest pressing teams in the history of basketball.
They nearly had the steal. Graham's pass was errant, but deflected out of bounds by Lonnie Harrell. Timeout with 12:12 to play in the first half. Florida State with a 9-6 lead. Now there seems to be confusion on the floor about whether or not there is a timeout, and the officials are calling the players back on.
The defense by Florida State against Mourning. 2, 3 guys on him all the time, never letting him get near the basketball where he can run the inside-out offense that was so effective in the first-round game.
Sam Cassell missed from three-point land, rebounded by Mourning. Jocks pulls up. That's a 2-point field goal for John Jocks, the freshman from Delco, North Carolina. Timeout on the floor. 11:53 to play in the first half here in Boise. Sean McDonough with Bill Walton and Andrea Joyce back in Boise, Idaho, the site of second-round action in the West region. Florida State, the number 3 seed with a 1-point lead over the 6 seed Georgetown. This is Byron Wells just into the game for FSU, number 33. He did not play at all against Montana. Strong drive along the baseline, and Wells drew a foul from the Hoyas. We want to apologize to those of you who inadvertently switched momentarily to the Connecticut-Ohio State game. We're happy to have you back with us here in Boise, and those of you who are supposed to be here, we promise to keep you here. Robert Churchwell just committed the foul, his first, the third against Georgetown. And here is Byron Wells, the junior from Tampa, at the line. Bill, we've watched him practice 3 days in a row, and you like his game.
Wells is a very talented player, doesn't get a lot of time. With the injury to Ward that moves everybody up a notch, he's going to get his chance today to show what he can do. I think he can do a lot.
He's had big games this season off the bench for Coach Kennedy, including a 13-point effort against Clemson on February 8th. Whistle underneath. Wells and Graham had Mourning surrounded. One of them is whistled for a foul. Alonzo Mourning scoreless to this point as the fronting defense of Pat Kennedy has worked very well. Georgetown went 5 minutes and 40 seconds at one point without a bucket. The foul was charged to Chuck Graham, his first, and the third team foul against Florida State.
They're really taking Alonzo Mourning out of the game, out of the low post game. He's going to have to move to the perimeter, see what he can do facing the basket.
Brian Kelly, good move to get open, then he missed the short jumper. Cassell spins away from Brown. Nice pass. The slam dunk. Sam Cassell filling it, point guard for Charlie Ward, and doing a terrific job.
Great decision making as Reed checks back into the game. Cassell normally looking to shoot here. Look away, splits the defense, and Wells, a fine finisher.
Kelly to Mourning. Brown, Harrell, and Jocks. The other Hoyas on the floor. It's Graham, Cassell, Wells, Reed, and Edwards for Florida State.
They're daring Georgetown to shoot those shots. Jocks, that's his second basket today. A good-looking ball player himself.
Jocks had 7 points in the first round against South Florida. Graham tried the 3 and missed. Edwards off to Reed. Over Mourning. Mourning got a piece of it into the hands of Brian Kelly. Harrell. Georgetown ball. The officials say it went out off Chuck Graham.
The defense of Florida State. They've got guards on him, forwards on him. Everybody is guarding him, forcing the other players to make shots. Kelly can't find the range.
Bob Sura has returned to the lineup for Florida State, replacing Chuck Graham. 12-11. Florida State has the lead. Neither team faring well from beyond the three-point line. They leave Jocks open. That time he missed. Reed got a hand on the rebound, but Jocks tracked it down.
Before the game, everybody talked about the quickness of Florida State. I think Georgetown looks equally quick, if not quicker, in this game.
Kelly in traffic. That is blocked from behind by Wells. A foul call. Wells thought it was on him, but it was not. It was on Andre Reed. Throughout the day, we'll be keeping you up to date with scores from the women's NCAA basketball championship. A possible problem developing for Florida State here in Boise is Andre Reed, who's done an excellent job against Mourning to this point. He just picked up his second foul, sending Brian Kelly to the line.
Reed should realize that Kelly's not that much of an offensive threat. With so much size and strength, he should play like Mourning and just get up there big and force the guy to miss the shot and don't try to make the spectacular block.
Coach Kennedy said that yesterday. One of the keys for Reed was to keep his arms straight up in the air and not lean forward and break the plane. Kelly's free throws put Georgetown back on top by 1. Kelly replaced by Robert Churchwell, a sophomore from Silver Spring, Maryland. Again, full court pressure from the Hoyas. Edwards attacks the pressure, and Mourning said, "Don't attack with such enthusiasm."
Don't come in here. I'm sending all that stuff back. You may be taking me out of the offensive end, but there's nothing you can do against me on defense. Tremendous patience by Mourning that time, as we'll see by O'Neal later on this afternoon.
Joey Brown tipped it into the backcourt. Sura found Reed, and he was fouled by Mourning on the way up. First foul on Alonzo Mourning.
Foul on number 33, Alonzo Mourning. Personal team foul 4 on the Hoyas. Andre Reed is line shooting 2.
Reed came into this one averaging only 3.2 points per game. That is his 5th point today. And he said earlier, any offense from Andre is a bonus as far as Coach Kennedy is concerned.
We've talked a lot about Florida State's defense in taking Mourning out. Give the same credit to John Thompson's Hoyas defense in taking Douglas Edwards out, who really hasn't had any opportunities.
Edwards just took the ball out of Mourning's hand. Sura, bad pass. Dobar took it away from Churchwell, but Dobar was on the sideline. It will be Georgetown ball with 9:11 to play in the first half, and with the score tied at 13. Alonzo Mourning now tied with Tim Perry, the former Temple standout, now at the Phoenix Suns, for the most career blocks in NCAA tournament history. They must not have counted them back when you played.
That was in the days of black and white television, Sean.
Terrell, rebounded by Edwards.
But Billy Packer was still broadcasting then.
Cassell didn't get a terrible bounce. Edwards has 7 rebounds already. Perhaps the inexperience of Cassell there at the point, Phil, as Joey Brown was left all alone for the easy layup.
Good point. Cassell and Sura in there right now. That's Charlie Ward's defensive responsibility. He usually drops back and covers all that, directs the defense.
Georgetown by 2. Edwards to Reed. This is Cassell. Reed rejected. Alonzo Mourning, the all-time leader in NCAA tournament play, all by himself now in blocked shots.
It doesn't get better than this defensively. 2 jumps, a 3rd jump, slaps it out and keeps it in play. The real key. Now Georgetown is in their own transition offense, but Florida State forced a foul.
Cassell picked up the foul, his first, the 5th, against the Seminoles here in the first half. Look at Sura tangled up on the left of your screen with Mourning. They play in front of and behind Alonzo Mourning. Look at Sura and Mourning shoving each other. Churchwell missed the 3. Edwards the rebound. They better make those shots or Alonzo's going to be surrounded all day.
I think even if they do make those shots, they'll keep with their defense.
Sura off the nice feed from Cassell. First basket of the afternoon for the ACC Rookie of the Year. Bob Sura, the freshman from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Joey Brown down the lane. Foul call. Tough to tell who it is against as David Dodge, the official, started spinning around as he got tangled up with a player. We're at the Boise State Pavilion in Boise, Idaho. Site of 2nd round action in the West region. The 3rd-seeded Florida State Seminoles tied up with the number 6 seed Georgetown Hoyas. Sean McDonough and Bill Walton. Florida State dressed in the white. Andre Reed on the bench. 3 fouls now on Reed. That is the big story here in Boise at the moment.
But the way Florida State is playing defense by double teaming with guards and forwards, I don't think that Reed's foul trouble will be that big of a factor. Certainly he's the big body that needs to keep Mourning out, but there's lots of other guys, position, numbers, right now for Florida State.
Joey Brown made the first. He has 3 points. He has 4, and we take a timeout with 7:14 left in the first half.
The women's Final Four in 2 weeks on CBS.
We have a chance to grab a look at the other 2 sites right now. Jim, Mike, and Billy in New York. And UConn and Ohio State. It's been UConn exploding from the start. This is Ohio State with the basketball in the gray.
And UConn, Jimmy, has had really a tremendous start in this game. Defensively, Ohio State came out very, very cold. And UConn, Billy, we talk about a team gaining momentum in this tournament. Looked great against Nebraska. Struggled down the end of the season, losing 8 of their last 11. And now they look like they're back. And Rod Settler's back today. They look to really be back in form.
I would have to agree. And Jim Jackson, so far, Jim has not had a big tournament. He's going to have to come back and do something today. Ohio State just not aggressive enough to get anything going offensively.
Francesa, folks, picked UConn to make it through the weekend. So that one has...
that man right there, Jim Calhoun.
You better believe it. He's accustomed to being in the Sweet 16. He's been in the Final 8 and the Final 16 the last 2 years, and he leads in the first half. Meanwhile, Memphis State and Arkansas, and the Razorbacks were up 13 early in this game. Now 9 minutes before the intermission. The Razorbacks, Todd Day at the line. Arkansas in the white uniforms, leading by 5.
And it's been Todd Day so far, Jimmy. The other day against Murray State, he only had 9 points. He was in foul trouble in the ball game. Today, that night now is his 14th point. And Billy, he came out on fire. Really, the other day, not a good wake-up call for him, but really on fire right now.
Well, 2 for 7. You're not going to have many Todd Day days, 2 for 7. And of course, he started out, hit that first jumper right off the bat. An excellent player. We talked about the All-America type players stepping forward today, and he certainly fills that role for Arkansas.
Okay, Georgetown and Florida State. The score remains 17-15 Hoyas. What about this game, guys?
Well, Jim, the thing that I think is interesting here is the Florida State defense on Alonzo Mourning. You talk about some crazy defenses. I can remember when Jim Valvano used to use Chris Corsiani to play against a big postman and have the other fellas play either a box or a diamond. And that's basically what Pat Kennedy, one of his old assistants, is doing today. A diamond and 1 with a small guard playing against Alonzo Mourning inside. A very unusual defense, but so far fairly effective.
And you see, Jimmy, with just 5:58 on the clock, low-scoring game, 17-15. It's not that they haven't been moving the ball up and down the floor. It's just that neither team has shot the ball very well in the first half.
Let's go back to Sean McDonough and Bill Walton in Boise.
Gentlemen, as always, you covered just about all of the pertinent points. Florida State has not shot the ball well, Mike Francesa. They're 6 of 20. And Georgetown leads by 2, despite the fact that this man has not scored. That defense Billy Pappas spoke of has worked very well on Alonzo Mourning, who is scoreless and has only attempted 1 shot from the floor, and now 1 free throw. So while they were on the tour of the country, no scoring at all here in Boise, and we're down to 5:49 to play in the first half.
Alonzo Mourning still a big factor defensively in this game, blocking shots, intimidating. I think what Florida State has to do is start thinking offense. Their defense is working very well. This is a high-scoring team, 83 points a game. They're on a pace where they'll be lucky to get 40 or 45 for the whole ball game today.
Caught it and shot it all in one motion. The garbage cleaned up by Doug Edwards. He has 4, and we're tied again at 17. John Jock quickly the other way. Good thing for John to put in because there weren't any Hoyas underneath the bucket. He has 7 points for Georgetown. Offensive foul called against Doug Edwards. His second. So he has 2. Reed on the bench with 3 for Florida State.
One thing Georgetown has to realize, Mourning's been taken out of the game offensively. The rest of the players, Kelly, Jacques, Churchwell, Brown, they've got to realize it's their game offensively. Forget the big guy. Hey, light it up yourselves. Create, shoot the jumper. This is your time to shine.
That's what they did against South Florida. Hoyas shot 50% as a team in that game. Mourning blocked. Blocked by Rodney Dobard. Cassell shut off by Joey Brown. Open for three is Sura. He hit the deck after missing badly.
Great defense. 1 against 3. Dobard, tremendous quickness and extension with the left hand. He is left-handed. Edwards there to scoop it up.
Dobard leading the shot blocker on the Seminoles. 4-4 coming into the game. Mourning just picked up his second foul as he hacked Bob Sura. The strategy that Pat Kennedy repeated over and over again yesterday at practice. Take it right at Alonzo.
You don't want to let the big man intimidate your offense and force you into something you're not used to doing. These players have taken it to the hoop all year. They're going to continue to do that. I think one of the most important things is to get the ball up over the top. Mourning, a great blocker. He'll come for every ball. If you think you're going to miss or think he's going to block it, put it up over the top onto the glass and let guys like Edwards and Dobard swoop in and jam it home.
Sura made the first free throw. He has 3 points. (19-19) under 5 minutes to play in the first half here in Boise. The winner of this one meets the winner of the LSU-Indiana game coming up next here in Boise. This is Churchwell. Off to Kelly. Checked it by Edwards, but a foul call. And that'll be number 3 on Doug Edwards.
Number 32, Doug
Big foul trouble now for the Seminoles with Edwards and Reed with 3 apiece.
And a good move by John Thompson taking Mourning out. He's got 2 fouls. Put him on the bench. Georgetown is in good shape. They're tied right now. They're controlling the tempo, I feel. Mourning might sit out the rest of the half and be able to play aggressively throughout. Douglas Edwards, silly foul there. Kelly not particularly great offensively. He could have been patient and waited and tapped the ball away because the defender was slashing down low to distract Kelly's concentration.
You're absolutely right. In that situation, you can't risk picking up the 3rd foul if you're Doug Edwards. It's much too important to your team. Kelly 2 for 3 from the line following the miss. 3 points in the game for Brian Kelly. The Hoyas lead by 1 as we tick down to 4.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Cassell through the trap. Off the glass too strong. Kelly has the Hoyas racing the other way. Church. Kennedy wanted to travel and didn't get it. Church for 3. 5 points in the game for Irvin Church. And that's Bob Sura, who lost a sneaker. He's putting it on in the backcourt. Cassell off to Reed, playing with the 3 fouls. Now the shoeless Sura into the corner to Dobard. Sura never did get the sneaker on. Wells scored for Florida State. And now time called by the officials. They'll let Sura put the sneaker back on. Ooh. Fortunate for Bobby, wasn't injured.
We respected what Phil was doing, but we weren't going to let him know that.
Look, if you want to work out, lift weights. Like a normal person, huh? Ride a bicycle.
Or swim.
Yeah, go bowling or do something. Something safe. Just be there, all right?
Florida State wins today. They will head straight for Albuquerque. But Charlie Ward will go home. Charlie, that sounds like we're not going to see you again in this tournament no matter what happens. How is your shoulder doing today?
Well, I'm still having a little pain, but I'm going back tomorrow to get an MRI on it and to see how it is. And the doctor's going to check me for it, see how I'm doing.
How do you think your team is responding so far to your absence?
Well, the game is pretty slow, and you know, I'm not saying that we're not pushing the ball up the court, but I feel that we need to start pushing the ball up the court a little bit more, and they're doing pretty good.
You, of course, are in line to become the next starting quarterback for Florida State. I know one guy very anxious to have you back in town, your football coach, Bobby Bowden. We wish you the best of luck. Thanks again for stopping by. All right, back to you guys. Sean?
Thank you, Andrea. Church tried to throw a lob for Mourning, and Alonzo wasn't anticipating it. The Hoyas lead by 4, despite the fact that Mourning has not scored in the game and has just 1 rebound. Make it 2 as he battled Dobard. Dobard was on the sideline. It will be Georgetown ball.
Florida State looks totally out of sync offensively. They look intimidated. Douglas Edwards, who's on the bench with 3 fouls, he's got to be their step-up guy. He picked up some careless fouls, an offensive foul on one end, a block shot foul on the other. He's got to stay in the game and get the offense going for Florida State, which is sputtering.
Edwards not in the game at the moment. On the bench with 3 fouls. Reed playing with 3 for the Seminoles. Reed, Dobard, and Wells the front line for Florida State at the moment. That's a 3 for Irvin Church. 8 points in the game for the freshman from Riverdale, Maryland. And the Hoyas enjoy the largest lead of either team this afternoon, 7 points.
And you can see the confidence build in Georgetown's perimeter players who now know they're going to get the shots. The basket's getting bigger and bigger for them.
Wells short with a 3-point try. Reed over Mourning, but too strong. Rebounded by Kelly. Really, Florida State's offense has been out of sync in this tournament ever since Charlie Ward was injured on Thursday against Montana. They had a 23-point lead in that game. They had to fight off the late Montana rally. They really lost something when he went out in that game as well. And there's another 3. Nothing missing from Irvin Church at the moment. 11 points, matching his total in round 1 against South Florida. A 10-point lead for the 6th-seeded Hoyas. Cassell quiets the Georgetown run. 5 points for Sam Cassell, who came in averaging 18 a game.
I think in the second half, Florida State's going to have to forget about some of their defensive concentration and open it up offensively.
Cassell tried to bat it away from Mourning and instead committed a foul. Second foul on Sam Cassell. He's from Baltimore, played at Dunbar High School in that great high school basketball program. And Sam said when he was growing up, he was a crazy Georgetown fan. He knows a lot of the players on the Georgetown team. Churchwell to the bench. Sam said he was devastated in 1985 when Georgetown lost that championship game to Villanova.
We have 2 relapses.
Florida State has been outscored 5-0 with Andre Reed on the bench. He is in the lineup at the moment, along with Wells, Dobard, Sura, and Cassell. And Alonzo still cannot get on the board. He's 0 for 2 from the line today.
I think what happens when that player of Alonzo Mourning's skills, who's the focus of the offense, is totally taken out by the defense, you get so anxious to get the shots up there. He's finally getting an opportunity at the line here. Just doesn't have his rhythm. Ordinarily an outstanding free throw shooter.
Get better than 75%. Don Reed, the freshman wearing 52, checks in for Mourning. 1 point, 1 rebound, and 3 block shots for Alonzo Mourning to this point. But his team leads by 9, in large part due to his presence on defense. Church got a hand on Wells' pass, tracked down by Harrell in the corner. And now it's Joey Brown in the backcourt with Church. It's Reed, Kelly, and Harrell across the front line for John Thompson. There's about a 5-second difference between the game clock, which you see, and the shot clock. Georgetown on a 9-2 run over the last 3 minutes. Church had a feeling. Harrell tracked down the miss, and now they can hold the last shot. Harrell launches a 3. Rebounded by Cassell. Sura has to shoot a 3 as a buzzer. It would not fall. A fitting end to the half for Florida State. That is the end of the first half with the score, Georgetown 32 and Florida State 23. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage.
Okay, let's go to Cincinnati right now. UConn had a 12-point lead at one time. It's been trimmed to 5. 2:30 before the half in Cincy. And here's Vern Lundquist along with Lynn Elmore.
For those of you watching other NCAA action as Jim Jackson just gets his first field goal of the ball game to cut the lead to 3. It had been 12, and now Connecticut is guilty of a turnover.
Well, right now, Connecticut is self-destructing after controlling the boards, running the fast break to perfection, turning Ohio State over. Connecticut has now turned the ball over, made some mental errors by walking, stepping on the end lines, and they've given Ohio State an opportunity to get back in this ball game.
The Buckeyes trail by as many as 12 at 28-16. They are on an 11-2 run that might increase.
Ricky Dudley, he's the man who has brought a physical nature to the Ohio State attack. He's come in and very many times has created contact, gotten key offensive rebounds, and just overall done the job inside.
He's playing in place of Chris Gent right now, number 40, freshman from Henderson, Texas. 30-27. 1:40 to go. The steal from Donnie Marshall and the foul from Jamie Skelton. Well, this is the final game here in Cincinnati in the Southeast region, this portion thereof. North Carolina won earlier to advance to the Sweet 16 in Lexington. Either Ohio State or Connecticut will join them. And Jamie Skelton getting some words of advice from Randy Ayers.
And a lot of people talked about the Southeast region being the toughest region in which to advance. And you look at this Connecticut team, and you can't believe that they're ranked 9th, seeded 9th.
We saw them the other night play Nebraska, and they absolutely ripped Nebraska apart. It is a team that, as Len has said, they started 16-1. The 1st of February ran into problems, were blown out by St. John's. Torino Walker was injured. There's Donnie Marshall missing a free throw. Daniel Marshall also had a slight injury, and they really slumped, losing 8 of their last 11.
Okay, this is a UConn team that's seeded 9th, not ranked 9th. Billy, what about them?
Well, Jim, what I think is a great move by Randy Ayers in this game. He puts in Rick Dudley, and Rick Dudley was considered the top high school football player in the state of Texas by many people. And what that has done all of a sudden is taken away some of the physical nature that Connecticut was throwing on Ohio State early on in the game. Gives his team some stability. The fellow has only played about 14 or 15 games this year, much less a game of this importance. But you like that powerful player inside against a team playing physical like Connecticut.
Look at the alley-oop now to cut it to 1.
On a 13-2 run right now before the half. Connecticut so much in control. Jimmy led 28-16. They've turned the ball over a couple of times, and Ohio State really matching the physical play of UConn seems to have gotten back into a comfortable portion of this ball game.
There's Dudley getting a piece of the ball on the inside. He's just using that body.
Okay, another game right now nearing the half is in the Midwest in Milwaukee. 11 seconds before the half. Arkansas shooting free throws and leading now 41-35 over Memphis State. That lead at one time had been 13. Todd Day's having a big afternoon. All right, later today here on CBS, the next set of games, LSU, Indiana, to most of the country. Others will see Georgia Tech against USC, the wrap-up to our quadruple header All-America Saturday. Now, earlier today, Seton Hall over Missouri to make it to the Sweet 16, 88-71. Jerry Walker had a big second half. He had 15 in the back half for the Pirates, who beat Missouri. It was a 3-point game at halftime, and well, John Leahy was the big story in the first half. Mike, he had 3 straight threes.
And with those threes by Leahy and Seton Hall coming out 6 for 6 from 3, that really broke this game open early for the Hall.
Peeler got him within 3 at the half with plays like that. But again, Jerry Walker, 3-point play here, Billy Packer. He's a horse.
Great pick and roll that time. Just an old-time New York City style play on the playground. Jerry Walker can set those screens very well. He rolled the basket to Hare with a nice bounce pass. You know, Leahy shooting those threes remind me of the highlights we saw the other night.
That's
right. Just throw them right up there. He was the key to the game, in my opinion, because he came in, he set the stage for his team.
And he's a freshman. Next up for Seton Hall will be Duke in the East Regionals in Philadelphia, as the Blue Devils won today by 13. It was a 26-point lead in the first half at one time. Tom Davis's team.
Welcome back to Boise. At halftime, it's Georgetown 32 and Florida State 23. Let's take a look at some halftime stats. Florida State shot the ball very poorly without Charlie Ward at the point and with the presence of Alonzo Mourning. Georgetown started out 1 for 10 over the first 5 minutes, then 10 for 18 the rest of the half. Fouls particularly a problem for Florida State, with Andre Reed and Douglas Edwards with 3 apiece. Alonzo Mourning has 2, as does Robert Churchwell. Mourning with just 1 point, but he has definitely affected the Florida State offense. Andre Reed, the 5 points, but also 3 fouls. And we're underway in the second half. Joey Brown and Urban Church start in the backcourt. Mourning, Churchwell, and Kelly, the front line for Georgetown.
Interesting defensive changes for Florida State here. They're going back to their regular lineup, even though Ward is out. The 3 guards and the 2 forwards, Edwards and Dobard. They want to get transition defense for offensive creativity.
Mourning with his first field goal. For those of you just joining us, welcome to Boise. Georgetown has just scored the first points of the second half. The Hoyas in blue leading now by 11 at 34-23, and that is their largest lead. Sura knocked to the ground as he tried an outside shot for Florida State. The winner of this one meets the winner of the LSU-Indiana game, which comes your way for most of the nation later this afternoon here in Boise. Bill, Florida State playing without Charlie Ward, their point guard, and they have been totally out of sync at the offensive end of the floor, and Mourning is certainly a big part of that.
Mourning, the big intimidator underneath the basket, changes everything for an offensive team. I think equally as important as Mourning's presence is the lack of confidence for Florida State. Florida State, a team that believes in itself. The loss, though, of Ward, I think in the back of their mind, they've got to be saying, can we do it? Can we go all the way? From the first half, it doesn't look like they believe in themselves.
We saw Robert Churchwell go to the bench, replaced by John Jock. Churchwell has just picked up his 3rd foul. Alonzo Mourning scored the first bucket of the second half, his first field goal today. Only tried 4 shots, as Florida State has done an excellent job denying him the ball, but perhaps they've been too concerned with that. Kelly, too long for John Jocks. Georgetown turns it over for the 6th time. Sam Cassell has been manning the point today for Florida State with Ward out. Sura and Graham on the floor now as part of the 3-guard lineup. Cassell really by far the best, the remaining ball handlers for Florida State, so they don't have much flexibility there. Graham with the miss. Edwards the offensive rebound. Dobard strong to the board for 2.
Florida State forwards, Dobard and Edwards, tremendous rebounders with range. But keep an eye on Alonzo Mourning, who's doing a great job of directing Georgetown's defense.
That was the first bucket of the day for Dobard, answered by Joey Brown's 3. 7 points for Joey Brown, the sophomore from Morgan City, Louisiana. That's the same hometown as Dave Johnson of the Syracuse Orangemen. They were teammates at one time in high school. Cassell. Rebounded by Mourning, then batted away by Graham. Cassell had to go through Dobard, and Sura missed. Sura has been ice cold today. He's 1 of 5 now from the floor. Kelly to Brown. Jock tried to dump it off to Alonzo. And the Hoyas settle.
We talked about the lack of confidence for Florida State. Direct opposite for Georgetown. They're playing beautiful basketball right now. Hustling, leadership by Mourning and Thompson off the bench as a coach.
Sura, foul on the way up, he'll shoot 2. Georgetown has really played 2 excellent games to this point of the tournament. They look strong in just about every phase of the game in their opening round win over South Florida.
Sura in transition, tapped away by a charging Georgetown defense. They're dominating this game at both ends of the floor.
Foul was on Joey Brown, his 2nd. Florida State got involved in the recruitment of Bob Sura a little bit late. We mentioned earlier he's from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Coach Kennedy got a phone call from his former college coach, Ed Donahue, that we have a player that you ought to come up and take a look at. In the interim, before Kennedy could get there to watch Sura, Sura scored 68 points in one game. There's a charge called against Alonzo Mourning, and that is his third personal foul.
Offensive foul on Alonzo Mourning, third personal.
That's a tough call. Mourning in transition on the run, a big, powerful man. The Florida State players, Cassell just standing there, not much contact. You have to give the man room to move.
Florida State with the ball, trailing by 8. And now a nickel and dimer called as Edwards passed it off. He was fouled by Joey Brown. And that's 3 fouls on Brown. You can add him to the list. Mourning, Churchwell, and now Brown with 3 apiece. Edwards, strong. Mourning went up to alter it. Kennedy wanted a foul on Mourning. Edwards again at Mourning to score, and that time you saw Alonzo back off.
He's going to need to back off with 3 fouls. No time to pick up the 4th, trying to make a spectacular play.
Kelly. A hard foul, but not an intentional foul by Dobard, who quickly went over to Kelly to pat him on the back. 2 fouls on Rodney Dobard.
Mourning had just forced a couple of misses there, knowing that the numbers are going to go against him if he keeps trying the tough block. Edwards with the quick one right by him. That's the way you attack a big man, particularly one who's in foul trouble.
Now Kelly. Not a good free throw shooter ordinarily, but 3 for 4 today. The foul on Dobard was his 2nd.
We've talked a lot about the great performances of Dobard and Edwards for the Florida State Seminoles at the 4 position. In this ballgame, Churchwell and Kelly have played equally as well for Georgetown.
Coming into this game, you would certainly have given Florida State the edge at the forward spot. 2 free throws by Kelly. 5 points in the game for Brian Kelly. Nice pass off to Graham. He dropped it off to Dobard for an easy 2. 4 points for Dobard. All of them here in the second half. It's a 6-point lead for Georgetown.
That's the kind of game Florida State wants. Up and down. Lots of opportunities to get Mourning his 4th foul.
Brown scores. Sir the other way. Altered by Mourning, who contested the shot. The Hoyas by 8, their largest lead 11. Florida State led by as much as 5 in the opening moment.
Dobard now with Mourning playing in front, forcing them to throw over the top. Great strategy. We haven't seen that much of that this weekend, even though there's been great big men playing throughout.
Including Shaquille O'Neal. We'll see him later today against Indiana. The lob in the Mourning from Kelly, and Alonzo scores. He now has 5. The lead back to 10 for Georgetown with 15:25 to play in the second half. Chuck Graham. That's a 3. Perhaps that will get him going. Those were his first points of the afternoon.
Florida State playing a lot looser offensively now, feeling they have nothing to lose. They're down 7.
Thank you.
In the second half, they've got to get an offensive rhythm going.
We saw this on Thursday. John Thompson with the lead in the second half, spreading the half-court offense. Brian Kelly leans in and draws the foul from Dobard. And that's 3 now on Dobard. So for Florida State, Edwards, Reed, and Dobard with 3 each. And for Georgetown, Mourning, Churchwell, and Brown all with 3.
Frustrated Pat Kennedy. The team totally out of sync. Dobard Why go for a pump fake from Kelly on the perimeter? Kelly's not going to shoot that ball and make it consistently. Let him shoot. Stay down. Save your fouls for inside to hack down on Mourning or go into the offensive glass.
Kelly 5 for 6 from the line today.
Alonzo Mourning drawing a big crowd. 1, 2, 3. I always felt, Sean, that if I didn't have 4 fouls, the crowd wasn't booing me, and I didn't have 3 or 4 guys surrounding me, that I wasn't doing anything out there.
Kelly with 2 misses. The second rebounded by Sura. A 7-point lead for Georgetown. As we approach 14.5 minutes remaining. It's second round action in the West region. Boise, Idaho. Sam Cassell will go to the line with a chance for a 3-point play. He was fouled by Don Reed, who just checked in to give Mourning a breather. It will be a short one as Thompson sends Mourning back in.
Cassell, sensing immediately that Mourning is not in there, goes right to the hoop. Reed, certainly not the player. Just a youngster. He'll be the man in the middle for the future for Georgetown, but he's got a ways to go.
Certainly, the Florida State Seminoles need more down the stretch from Cassell. He's 3 for 10 from the floor. Sura 1 for 6. The 3-point play brings Florida State back within 4 here in Boise.
Chevy Blazer, 1992's four-wheeler of the year. With 3.5-ton towing, more room, more comfort, and more major awards, 1992's four-wheeler of the year is the all-new Blazer from Chevrolet. The trucks you can depend on, the trucks that last.
Tie game. Back after this. Twist off 7-Up caps and win as the
Check in at the other sites. Georgetown's lead down to 4. Meanwhile, Memphis State and Arkansas, tempers flaring for a moment there, Billy Packer, but Arkansas in the white uniforms with possession, leading by 8, 17 minutes to go.
Well, Memphis State beat them earlier, but obviously that was on their home court. Nice piece of officiating there by these officials, realizing that most of these guys very familiar with each other and trying to keep this game under control.
Memphis State's turned the ball over 16 times in the first half. They've been plagued by turnovers against that Arkansas pressure, Jimmy, all game long.
Okay, the other game, Randy Ayers' team, Ohio State, on a 26-6 run when you go back to the back end of the first half to now take an 8-point lead.
And Jimmy Jackson's hit 2 big threes, Billy, to open up the second half. Stepped up as we said he had to. But really, this has been 2 different games. UConn was physical, getting inside. Looked like they had everything going their way, in control, and then a 26-6 run by Ohio State.
And I'm going to credit Randy Ayers again with that, putting Dudley into the game to give some power and some strength inside for his team, just to alter what Connecticut was doing, which was just taking a physical game right to Ohio State. And remember last year when we talked about Jimmy Jackson, the second half he owned in the Big Ten. And that is what he's doing so far out here in this game.
Back in Boise, Joey Brown just scored on a layup for Georgetown, and that lead is now 45-39. Hoyas, 13:41 remaining in that one.
One of the things that surprised me in the second half, Florida State came out, abandoned the defense that was so effective on Alonzo Mourning in the first half, but I guess they wanted to try to see if they couldn't up-tempo the game a little bit. And Mourning will sit down for a little bit. He's back in there now, ready to start altering some shots again.
One more free throw for the Seminoles, and let's get the call out there from our duo, Sean McDonough and Bill Walton in Boise.
And for those of you just joining us, welcome back to Boise. Florida State within 4 with 13:38 to play in the second half. Georgetown in blue enjoyed a 9-point halftime lead. Sean McDonough with Bill Walton. The winner of this one meets the winner of the LSU-Indiana game coming up next. Kelly left alone this time. And as you suggested, Bill, that's a good strategy to leave him alone. He is not a very good shooter. Alonzo Mourning still with only 1 rebound. Florida State with 16 offensive rebounds. Seemed like Mourning was more of a factor, Bill, defensively in the first half when Florida State shot only 28%. Perhaps the foul trouble causing him a problem. Mourning with 3 fouls.
He's playing more conservatively right now, knowing he has to stay in the ball game. One reason Florida State has all those offensive rebounds is that Mourning is out contesting shots, forcing the misses. Florida State able to sweep the glass on the miss.
Mourning now 2 for 4 from the line, and you heard the boos as he went to the line. That's as a result of the skirmish with Sam Cassell. They shoved each other briefly heading into the last timeout. It's a 5-point Georgetown lead. Gobard rebounds the miss.
Give John Thompson, the coach for Georgetown, a lot of credit. His team is totally prepared today. They're meeting every challenge that Florida State throws at them, particularly offensive strategy.
Cassell threw it through the net, intended for Gobard. Down. Out of bounds. It will be Florida State ball. It looked like it went out of bounds off Chuck Graham. And that brought John Thompson and the rest of the Georgetown bench to their feet.
I think that's a good call. They could have called Mourning over the back on a rebound foul. Instead, just give it to Florida State out of bounds and let Mourning keep playing.
Edwards showing his range. Nice jumper from 15 feet for Doug Edwards, who now has 8 points. Florida State within 3.
That's the best move by Douglas Edwards all day. Between Edwards and Cassell, they averaged 35 points between them. They've just got 16 combined.
Mourning with Gobard and Edwards surrounding him. Kelly is open. Nice play by Mourning to drop it off for Brian Kelly, who now has 7.
That's the inside offense that works so well for Georgetown. That's why Florida State needs to deny Mourning possession of the ball.
Syrup tried to dump it off. Edwards thought he was going to shoot it. Church for 3. The Georgetown lead is back up to 8. And Florida State wants a timeout. 11:37 to play in Boise. The Hoyas lead by 8.
I'm tired, Charlie.
Come on, they're falling apart out there.
One last time, and you can write your own ticket, Jack.
It's blank.
A lot of people betting this place won't make it. They say you've forgotten how to work together. I don't have any easy answers, but I do know this. Together, we have a story to tell, and we're going to tell it right here. Putting it together.
Every company has a story to tell. Every person a contribution to make. It's the document that helps put it all together.
You all feel good about this?
Yes.
So do I.
Putting it together.
Good job, Jack.
Come on back.
I think I'm going to stay, Charlie.
Faxing, copying, printing. Xerox, the document company.
There's a first time for everything. Your first love, first kiss, first date, first job, and your first new car. For more people, that first new car is Chevy Cavalier. A simple, solid value that'll get you through the changes until the next first time. The cars more people depend on. And now it's easy to win with the heartbeat.
Welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order?
What's cooking?
Well, sir, the Wild West has returned to McDonald's.
Oh, you don't say.
So you could start the day with a hearty combination of tomatoes, peppers, and sausage in our 99-cent breakfast burrito.
Oh, no.
And stop back later for tender strips of grilled chicken with fresh tomatoes and cheese in our 99-cent chicken fajitas.
Come on, Wishbone. Hold your horses. I'm still talking to the sign.
What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
At
you ever dreamed you could fly? Now, the world's greatest illusionist conquers the mystery of human flight without strings or camera tricks. An all-new Magic of David Copperfield, Tuesday, March 31st.
Welcome back to Boise. Waiting in the on-deck circle, LSU coach Dale Brown. His Tigers will face Indiana in the second half of our West Region doubleheader today. There remains the possibility, and isn't it appealing, of LSU and Shaquille O'Neal against Alonzo Mourning in Georgetown, but we're certainly a long way away from that on both fronts. Still 11.5 minutes to play in this one. Georgetown with an 8-point lead. Sura continues to struggle. Edwards, the offensive rebound. 12 rebounds for Edwards today. Church pulls it down. And a foul called on Rodney Dobard, his 4th. So he's the first player in the game with 4. Andre Reed hasn't come off the bench here in the second half. It has not been a big day for Alonzo Mourning. And the question about Georgetown coming into the tournament. Was there enough of a supporting cast around Alonzo to move through the tournament? I think we've seen in these two games, Brown, Church, Churchwell, Kelly and company have a statement to make.
One of the nicest things about watching Georgetown right now is that they are playing with so much confidence. They know Mourning's out of the game. They're just shooting the ball. Church and Brown, even Kelly, lighting it up offensively.
Reed just came in and just picked up his 4th foul as he bumped Mourning.
Big men in the paint. Reed has got to realize you can't hook arms with somebody. In this game, you play with your brain as much as you play with your body.
This is Brian Kelly to Joey Brown. They're on the floor with Irvin Church, Robert Churchwell, and Alonzo Mourning. Mourning working on Reed with the 4 fouls, and Alonzo scores. 8 points for Mourning, the unanimous Big East Player of the Year.
Excellent offensive execution, isolating Mourning. Florida State changed their defense a little bit.
Irvin Church just picked up a foul as he hacked Cassell. He's one of the few players in the game not in foul trouble. Church with 1. Mourning, Churchwell, and Brown have all been playing for a while now with 3 for the Hoyas. Dobard and Reed each recently picking up their 4th foul for Pat Kennedy.
Shooting 2.
That was the 7th team foul against Georgetown. Cassell made the 1st. And the 2nd. Florida State, without Charlie Ward, hanging in there with the Georgetown Hoyas. They trail by 8 as we approach the midpoint of the second half.
Watch the way Georgetown overloads the zone defense. They've got 4 guys on the same side trying to post up Mourning down low.
Twenty seconds on the shot clock. Kelly lobs it into Mourning. Reed went up in the air to force a pass to Church. The 3 spins out, rebounded by Edwards.
Good defense that time. Nice passing by Mourning to get it out. But when the high pass goes to the postman is being fronted, the weak side defense has to get in the air to get the ball. You can't come and wait till he catches it. You've got to leave the ground, get in the air, and go for that ball. Sometimes initiating contact with the guy on offense trying to get that lob.
Cassell to Edwards. Well short. Cassell took it right at Mourning and missed the shot. Mourning batted it out to Church, then he was fouled by Cassell. 3 fouls now on Sam Cassell.
Number 10.
On that last opportunity for the rebound for Alonzo Mourning, he forces the shot, almost draws an offensive foul, and then taps it out to the foul line. If you don't have a chance for it yourself, push it to the foul line, because your defensive guards have got to be coming right across that line.
Georgetown has very effectively slowed the pace here in the second half. Florida State has not been able to force this into the up-tempo contest that they enjoy. And now we have a whistle away from the ball. And I believe that's the 5th foul on Andre Reed. It is. Andre Reed drawing another foul away from the ball, his 4th and 5th. Came away from the ball, and he is fouled out with 9:21 to play. 5 points in the game and 3 rebounds. For the sophomore who grew up in Jamaica, now makes his home in Miami, and this is just a lack of maturity on the part of Reed, and Coach Kennedy said that's the one thing keeping him from being a big-time player for Florida State. They're going to send him to some martial arts classes in the summer to try to get him to improve his concentration skills.
And they're also going to try to hook him up with Dave Cowens, an ex-Florida State Seminole himself. Going to come down and work with Andre Reed, try to develop his game. Not much of a foul for the 5th foul on Reed. Give Georgetown lots of credit, though, for isolating Mourning and really spreading the floor, doing an excellent offensive job.
Mourning now 3 of 6 from the line. It has been a physical game.
That's what Georgetown would like. Break the concentration.
Georgetown by 10 with 9:21 to play. Edwards dumped it off to Sura. Look at Alonzo contest the shot at the 3-point line, and he blocked it. His 4th blocked shot. Missed the 3. Wells to follow. It was Wells who came in to replace Reed when he fouled out. Byron Wells has given Florida State 7 points off the bench.
Dobard's also got 4 fouls for Florida State. Big problems for Pat Kennedy.
Mourning fouled by Doug Edwards, and that's 4 now on Edwards.
Look at the direction that Alonzo Mourning gives to his team, pointing what he's going to do. Sura, bad decision there. You got a 7-footer out on the perimeter, backing out even farther and then drive on him, but don't shoot a slow delivery jump shot.
Alonzo Mourning at the line for Georgetown, shooting 2.
Help us in there now. Thank you.
10 points in the game for Mourning, 9 of them this half. And he has now scored in double figures in every game this year. He came into this one having scored at least 20 points in each of the last 5 games. So he'll have some work to do to reach 20 today.
One shot.
The lead is again 10. The largest lead for Georgetown, 11. 8:36 to play here in Boise. Cassell has struggled today. Graham fouled, and that's against Mourning, number 4.
Number 33, Alonzo Mourning, 4th personal, team foul 8.
Alonzo went nearly 9 minutes between his 3rd and 4th fouls, but now he's playing with 4.
Very tough call on Mourning. He's in the paint, his comfort area. He's got Graham well within his control. Why reach out with your hands down low? Move your chest into him. Engulf him with your massive frame, and then wait for him to make the mistake and tap it out, and your guard move in and sweep it up, and you're off to the races.
Chuck Graham has Florida State with an 8. All kinds of foul trouble now on both sides. Churchwell to Church. And now Brown, Kelly and Mourning also on the floor for the Hoyas. It's Cassell, Graham, Sura. The 3-guard lineup for Florida State with Edwards and Wells. Hobart on the bench at the moment with his 4. Mourning scores over Wells.
Georgetown smartly continuing the offensive attack. So many times in their storied history, they get the lead and they pull it back and get conservative. In the tournament, you've got to continue to score.
That's a 2-point field goal for Chuck Graham. He has 7 points in the game. Churchwell. Brown wanted a call for a backcourt violation. It was not a violation. 7.5 minutes to play. Alonzo Mourning has scored the last 8 Georgetown points.
And right now, as opposed to the first half, Florida State's playing behind Mourning, allowing him to create the inside-out offense that any team with a big man loves to run.
With Wells with the task of playing behind Mourning. 5 on the shot clock as Churchwell comes up short. Graham. Fouled from behind by Churchwell. Found wanted a call on Churchwell. Edwards fouled by Kelly. Count the bucket.
Now reporting Brian Kelly, second personal, team foul 9 on Georgetown.
Graham racing to the ball. The referee's letting it go a bit, which I think is great. And now Edwards in the low post. Kelly, too much of a flop. The referees ignore that.
They did get him for the hack on the arm of Edwards. 2 fouls on Kelly. 11 points now for Doug Edwards to go along with 13 rebounds. And the Seminoles are within 5.
Dale Brown, whose Tigers will face Indiana in the next game here in Boise. How are your kids doing today, Coach? Are they doing all right?
Wonderful. Andre, October 15th, we told them there was 174 days of season, and it's getting down to a few days. So they seem poised, confident. They understand we're playing a great opponent, but we played one against BYU.
I know that you coaches hate to look ahead, but there are a lot of basketball fans out there who would love to see a matchup between Alonzo Mourning and Shaquille O'Neal in the next round.
I would love to see LSU and Indiana play in about 6 minutes and 24 seconds.
I had a funny feeling you were going to say that. Thanks very much. Good luck. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you to Dale Brown as well. Georgetown turned it over at their offensive end. Then Florida State went quickly on the attack, as you saw. And Joey Brown just picked up his 4th foul. Irvin Church returns. John Jacques goes to the bench.
Dale Brown, 2 words, poise and confidence. Those are the words that remind me of the way Georgetown is playing. Florida State, though, in a perfect position. These 2 free throws go down. They're just behind by 3 points. If someone can get hot, like Douglas Edwards, who was unfortunately in serious foul trouble, or Cassell, Florida State can steal this game. They've been outplayed to this point.
They've trailed virtually throughout. Jumped off to a 7-2 lead. But it's been a game controlled for the most part by Georgetown since. Mourning cleared the miss. That was just the 2nd rebound credited to Alonzo Mourning. Joey Brown left open for 3. 14 points for Joey Brown. The lead is 7, under 6 minutes to play.
You mentioned just the 2nd rebound. Good statistics, but another great example of why the numbers will rarely mean anything. He's had a huge impact on this game.
That's a 2-point field goal for Graham. Florida State with a passive full-court press. And now a steal by Edwards. Bad pass by Church. Edwards lays it in. It's a 3-point game with 5:23 to play in Boise. for Edwards. Cassell. Off the mark. Mourning. Foul call. It's on Sam Cassell. Mourning hobbling a bit.
Foul number 10, Sam Cassell, fourth personal.
Welcome to those of you just joining us. We're in Boise, Idaho for second-round action of the West region. Georgetown has led throughout this second half. Their halftime margin was 9. Florida State has cut the lead to 3 with 4:47 to play. Georgetown dressed in the blue uniforms. John McDonough with Bill Walton. The story at the moment, foul trouble on both sides. Sam Cassell just picked up his 4th for Florida State. Andre Reed has fouled out of this game for the Seminoles. Alonzo Mourning, the man at the line, is playing with 4. 6 for 10 to the line for Mourning. He came into this tournament a 77% free throw shooter. A three-pointer would tie the game for Florida State.
I can sense Douglas Edwards surging here. He just looks much more confident than he has throughout this game. Get him the ball, isolate him, let him go to the hoop offensively.
Sam Cassell. Florida State now trailing by 1.
Cassell, he said, I'm not giving this ball up. I'm hot. I'm taking it. I'm going to win it or lose it.
For those of you who have just joined us, Cassell, the leading scorer for the Seminoles coming in, but he has to play point guard today as Charlie Ward is out with an injury. That was Robert Churchwell scoring his 7th and 8th points for Georgetown. 3:45 to play. 64-61 Georgetown. Bob Sura with the ball. This is Edwards. Shooting over Churchwell. Bill, you called it. He wants it. He has 15 points. Brown with the ball. Church joins him in the Hoya backcourt. Harrell, Churchwell, and Mourning. The front 3. 1 point. The closest that Florida State has been since 4:38 remained in the first half, and it was 20-19.
This is where I think Georgetown hurt themselves, but Joey Brown comes right back.
And missed badly from beyond the three-point line. Florida State with a chance to take the lead. Cassell. The Seminoles lead with 2.5 minutes to play. Their last lead came at 12-11. Church missed the 3. Sura has them on the run. The pass blocked. Edwards underneath. Sobart rejected by Mourning. Foul on the follow-up. That's number 5 on Alonzo Mourning.
Great defense that time by Brown. Dobard couldn't finish, actually blocked by Mourning. Ooh, I don't see a foul on Alonzo Mourning.
Well, let's look at it again.
Excellent block. He recovers his balance.
We didn't get a chance to see the foul. The foul was whistled in the follow-up activity. Mourning out, Reed out. Alonzo leads with 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 block shots. Let's look again. Watch as the play continues. This apparently is where he's called for foul number 5, and I agree with you, Bill. That is a terrible call.
one thing that everyone has to realize is that as important as the composure and patience of the players, the referees have to have the same patience and not blow the whistle until they're exactly sure, particularly with key players like Edwards, Cassell, and Mourning, all with 4 fouls. One call can determine the outcome of the game.
And end the team season, perhaps. Timeout called by Georgetown. Florida State by 2 with 2:05 to go. 2 timeouts for each team. Each foul from here on in will result in a 2-shot opportunity for the opponent. The arrow pointing at Florida State. Dobard makes both. Florida State 19 of 23 from the line today. Well above their season average of 64%. Nearly a turnover. Kelly had it batted away by Cassell. Church to the floor, and as we showed you, the arrow points to Florida State.
A key for Florida State here. They must not think that this game is over, even though Alonzo Mourning, the overwhelming star for Georgetown, out of the game with fouls. They've got to continue to score.
Couple of substitutions. Lamont Morgan 34 and Kevin Millen 32 in for Georgetown. Those are fresh people. If they need to foul, they are likely candidates to do just that. Brown batted it out of bounds. He thought it deflected off Graham, but did not get the call. 1:41 to play. Florida State leading John Thompson's Georgetown team by 3 points. The winner of this one meets the winner of the LSU-Indiana game. Most of you will see that one coming up next. Cassell for 3. The Seminoles have their largest lead with 1.5 minutes to play. Church, a long 3, well short, rebounded by Cassell. Bill, did the Hoyas play themselves into a trance a little bit with this spread half-court officer? Blocking call on Brian Kelly. It worked for a while. They controlled the tempo and maintained a comfortable lead for a while. But they stayed in that spread half-court offense throughout this second half, but it looked like they did play themselves to sleep a little bit.
I think Georgetown played very effectively offensively throughout the game, but now that Mourning is gone, the reason to collapse and double team in the middle to leave all the other players open is no longer a factor. Now Florida State is going to get back to their wild trapping defense, just double team the ball, showing very little respect for the individual offensive capabilities of the Georgetown players other than Mourning.
Sura with 9 points, 7 of them from the line. He's 7 of 8. The lead is 7 with 1:05 to play.
A little early for Sura to start smiling. But what a difference in the expression of his face from the end of the game from the beginning.
Edwards knocked it out of bounds. Georgetown ball with 1:02 left. Hoyas down by 7. Alonzo Mourning has fouled out. Florida State on a 10-0 run. Brown blocked away by Edwards. Georgetown ball.
Edwards and Dobard now starting to take over defensively underneath the basket.
Churchwell 3 spins up. Out of bounds off Edwards. Georgetown ball again. They're much more animated without Alonzo in there.
Now all of a sudden they're finding their confidence level.
Brown off the mark. Georgetown a 31% three-point shooting for the year. Foul called. It's on Edwards. And he is just fouled out.
Foul number 32.
Edwards departs with 43 seconds left and with his team leading by 7. Doug had 15 points, 16 rebounds, a career high, and 2 blocked shots. You talked about somebody having to step up with Charlie Ward out of the lineup. You pointed to Edwards as the leading candidate to do that. He made you look good. Timeout. Florida State by 7. We'll be back in a moment.
Maybe your first car shouldn't be a car.
I was 18, didn't have a care, working for peanuts, not a dime to spare.
Get this Chevy S10 EL pickup with cash back for around $8,000. Chevrolet. The trucks you can depend on. The trucks that last.
No field goals for the Hoyas in the last 3 minutes and 10 seconds. They've missed their last 7 shots. LSU and Indiana. Coming up next here in Boise, most of you will see that game. Joey Brown made the first and the second. The Hoyas facing a 5-point deficit. Cassell, long pass, Dobard with Brown hustling back, lays it in. Georgetown quickly the other way. Brown down the middle, missed the layup. The follow by Lamont Morgan, and Georgetown gets a quick timeout. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Boise. Florida State with ball and a 5-point lead with 23.7 seconds remaining, and Rodney Dobard was just fouled. He'll go to the line for 2 shots. For those of you who just watched Ohio State beat Connecticut, welcome to Boise, site of second-round action in the West region. Sean McDonough and Bill Walton, along with Andrea Joyce. Happy to have you with us. Georgetown led through most of this game, Bill, and it started to slip away really before Alonzo Mourning fouled out. He's out of the game, and now it has really slipped away.
Mourning, even though not a statistical king in this game, was a man of huge stature in the paint, both ends of the court, drawing the collapsing defense, really forcing Florida State totally out of their game. Once he picked up the foul trouble, once Georgetown got more conservative, Florida State seemed to pick up their style. Edwards and Cassell were very strong down the stretch offensively. Florida State has surged into a commanding lead.
We'll be sending all of you to the conclusion of that game in the Midwest between Memphis State and Arkansas. As soon as this one is over, the Tigers with a 3-point lead. It was a day for Cinderella yesterday. The Tigers trying to make this Saturday a day for Cinderella. 75-68. La Hoya's trail with 16 seconds left. Byron Wells has it spin out. The Chevrolet players of the game are Alonzo Mourning of Georgetown with 14 points, 5 blocks, and 3 rebounds, and Doug Edwards of Florida State, a career-high 16 rebounds to go along with 15 points and 2 block shots. The Seminoles lead by 8 with 16 seconds to play. Church has to fire the 3. Rebounded by Graham. And the foul committed by Lonnie Harrell with 7 seconds to go, and they celebrate on the Florida State sideline. They'll head to Albuquerque and beyond the second round for the first time since 1972, when they lost in the national championship game to the UCLA Bruins and a big redhead named Walton.
Great victory for Pat Kennedy. Talked constantly as a good look there at Charlie Ward. Talked about the need for Kennedy to find some way to build confidence in his team. Losing their floor leader. Mourning, of course, did everything he could. The tough and I think inaccurate call by the official forced him to the sideline.
For those of you just joining us, the 5th foul was a very questionable foul against Mourning. They let Brown shoot at the buzzer. It does not go. The Seminoles make their way to the Sweet 16. The final score, Florida State 78, Georgetown 68. For Bill Walton and Andrea Joyce, Sean McDonough saying so long from Boise, Idaho. Florida State awaits the winner of LSU and Indiana. Let's send you now to Jim Nance.
All right, so Alonzo Mourning's outstanding career is over. So is Chris Smith's of UConn, a 16-4 run to close that one. Meanwhile, this is coming down to the close with 1:49 to go. Let's go to Midwest action.
Memphis State is a minute and 50 seconds away from stunning Arkansas for the second time this year and advancing to Kansas City. Anthony Hardaway, their leading scorer, and Mr. Do-Everything, is just fouled out. Arkansas held the lead virtually the entire game. Al McGuire, and then what happened?
Well, what happened also, Todd Day is fouled out. He's playing with 4 fouls. He's tentative. The thing now, if Morris can these two, we got ourselves a 1-point game going down to the wire.
What brought Memphis State back from a 13-point deficit in the first half?
I thought the Hogs got too relaxed. They went on cruise control and got away from their game plan, which was a 1-3-1 zone. Memphis State has trouble against the zone.
Morris hits the front end. He is 3 for 3 from the line. Todd Day fouled out.
He doesn't want to end the season here. He wants to go on to Kansas City.
Razorbacks have won 9 of their last 11. That's all in jeopardy right now. Morris misses, but a big rebound by Hawkins. Out of bounds, still Arkansas's ball.
Hawkins has been Mr. Everything in the last 10 minutes.
He has scored 20 points coming off the bench. He has averaged just 6 on the year. He has saved the Razorbacks today. The lead is 2.
3-pointer gives him a lead. Well, I thought they'd open up. Let Mayberry try to drive, then kick out the spot.
Here is Morris. Man-for-man defense by Memphis State.
Solid man-to-man. Shepard's good with the ball. His slash give him a chance. That's the guy you want with the ball right there. That's prime time.
Mayberry gets it. Off balance. It's tied at 78, and here comes a 3-on-1 fast break. Ernest stuck through, and it's going to count. David Vaughn.
That was close. That could have been goaltending, offensive goaltending. Looked like the ball was in the cylinder.
David Vaughn with 24 points. Mayberry leaves it for Hawkins.
Beautiful dish off by Mayberry to Hawkins. Then step in underneath by Vaughn, I believe. Boy, oh boy, you talk about that Memphis City territory for ball players. These two guys are telling me early, this isn't a revenge game. We're not worried about recruiting in Memphis State. As I said earlier, it's like bringing home flowers to your wife for no reason. There's a reason. And the reason here is that recruiting that rich field of high school basketball players in Memphis, Tennessee.
All homegrown team of Memphis State. The foul was on Vaughn, his second, and here is Hawkins on the line.
We're under a minute. 55 seconds.
11 of 12 for Darrell Hawkins. Here is the story. Arkansas has 1 timeout left. The possession arrow favors Memphis State.
We're now in the chess game, Dick. Number of possessions. I might take a shot relatively early. Let's see what happens. Because then I get 2 for 1 possession.
10-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock.
No, they let that go by. Now it's 1 for 1 possessions.
Tied at 80. And let's see, Miller knocked it out of bounds, but it's still Memphis State's ball. They have 32 seconds to try a shot, and the Tigers will call a timeout. Going down to the last second.
Quick hands by Miller.
Ever wonder why your face hurts after you shave? It's simple.
Memphis State has 32 seconds to attempt a shot. 9-second differential with what's left in the game, Al.
You got the spread. The key now is that rebound. They missed the shot.
Ernest Smith will inbound. Nearly threw it beyond Douglas.
They're going to take it down.
Marcus Nolan, a freshman, has come in the game at point guard in the last few seconds of the game. What a gutty move by Larry Finch.
Well, they want his quickness. They want his ball handling.
And not played at all in this game.
Down to 10.
Here he is, number 15.
They want the ball to go to Vaughn. Have no choice now. They just got to put it up.
Here's Vaughn. Gets his own rebound, and the basket is good.
Unbelievable, but even though there's 5-6 seconds left, I thought maybe Vaughn should have taken it back out, but he had a chippy basket underneath.
Arkansas uses its last timeout, and David Vaughn, having a whale of a game with 26, puts Memphis State in front, but a gutty move to bring in a freshman who hadn't played at all to run the team in the last 40 seconds.
Now listen out there to this. There's almost 6 seconds. Let's show you how long 6 seconds is. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, 1,000. So there's a lifetime left in this game. This game can go OT. They don't need the three-pointer. That's important. So if there's a lot of pressure up court, they'll end up throwing a loop pass all the way down for a scramble. No timeouts left, which is very, very difficult for Arkansas. Very difficult.
Great second effort by David Vaughn, who was double-teamed, got free, and then got the ball again.
That's where they wanted to get the ball to. He's had a hot hand. He's a soft touch. He follows up his shot. The guy that shoots normally knows by instinct where the ball's going. Good coaching by Arkansas with a kid called a quick timeout to save the clock.
You see Vaughn, he outjumped 2 of his own teammates to get the ball. Not to be denied.
Oh, would I love to be coaching and have him for 3 more years and have Hardaway for 2 more years. Oh, could I be a great coach.
You were.
No, it's because I had Hardaways and I had Vaughns.
Hardaway fouled out, so did Todd Day, the 2 stars of the teams. Hawkins off the bench for Arkansas has 22, a season's high, and Vaughn with 26 is the leading point man for Memphis State. In the southeast region in Cincinnati, Ohio State and North Carolina, as everything went according to form there, Buckeyes and Dean Smith advance, huh?
They're flattened out on the 10-second line. They'll hook around, looking to try to draw a man up, but Vaughn will stay back. The thing Vaughn must remember is not to foul under any circumstances, because if you don't allow the three-point shot, they score, you go to OT. That means overtime. Lifetime, just under 6.
Oliver Miller will inbound, and they're not going to guard the inbounds passer. Instead, they have Vaughn the safety, as you pointed out.
The clock doesn't start. He touches the ball.
Here is Mayberry for 3 to try to win the game, and the rebound is over. Memphis State wins the game.
Skying on this side, crying on that side. That's college basketball.
Not too many people thought Memphis State could beat Arkansas a second time, but they've done it, 82-80. And have knocked out the 3rd-seeded Razorbacks. And Memphis State, now 22-10, will advance to Kansas City in the regional semifinal.
The blue and gray, I congratulate you. The Tigers were roaring today. Excellent job.
Hardaway fouled out, but David Vaughn was big with 26 points and 8 rebounds, including the winning basket. Darrell Hawkins, a career-high 22, led the Razorbacks, but that's it for Todd Day, Isaiah Morris, Oliver Miller, and Lee Mayberry. The 4 seniors have ended their career. Final score, Memphis State beats Arkansas 82-80, and the Tigers will advance and play the winner of the Georgia Tech USC game coming up next. And our Chevrolet players of the game, David Vaughn of Memphis State, Darrell Hawkins of Arkansas. Thank you, Al McGuire.
I enjoyed it, Dick.
We got another game to come. That's the story here in Milwaukee. And right now, let's send you back to our New York studios and Jim and Nance. James?
Billy, I think Al knew he had another game, don't you?
Another game?
All right, let's set the lineup now and give you some tip times. LSU and Indiana in the West. That will be tipping in 19 minutes. And Georgia Tech and USC, they start the clock now 30 minutes away from going back to Dick and Al. Let's put this game in perspective. Big picture for the day. Memphis State, the biggest surprise so far.
Well, they are a big surprise. Let's think back. 1973. We kidded Bill Walton a little bit today about the block by Lenny Elmore. But 1973, Larry Finch, who coaches, obviously, Memphis State, went to the Final Four in what many people consider the greatest individual performance ever in a Final Four.
Yes.
Bill Walton missed one shot in the game. Larry Finch's team from Memphis State lost.
Larry Keenan was the guy who had to play him that day.
Played for the Nets.
Yep.
Greg Lee to Walton.
That's right.
Boom, boom. That's all it was. You know, you think back, though, Oliver Miller, Mayberry, and Day, they went to the Final Four in 1990 as sophomores. They probably thought they'd be going back a couple of more times. They never made it back to the promised land.
I think this game really typifies Arkansas. They could have put the game away a lot of times. Day came out on fire, 13 points right away. Had 14 for the game, fouled out, and Oliver Miller, Billy, on Vaughn, he never boxed out on that play. Let him go in and get his rebound and score.
A huge play. When you start talking about a senior player playing against a freshman, you've got to go ahead and put yourself in a position, put a body on a man that close to the ball game.
I thought the clock operator missed a couple of seconds after Arkansas signaled for the time. They finally stopped it at 5.8 seconds to go. We have not had an overtime game, by the way, in the tournament through 38 games, and this was one I thought we might have at last.
Jim, you mentioned not getting back to the Final Four, the Arkansas players. We had another man today who's going to end his career as an All-American, the all-time leading shot blocker in the history of the NCAA tournament, Alonzo Mourning, who never made it to the Final Four.
Boy, there's several big names that are out of the tournament. Their career's over. It all happened this afternoon. We'll come back with some scores and some interviews as we continue on the road to the Final Four.